Cancer, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Now, keep in mind, my friends, that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages in those readings as well. And if you're interested in a personal reading, you can check out the link in the description below, or you can send me an email to set that up. All right, my friends, let's get started. For Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions, what is the current energy around Cancer for the week ahead? Major themes for Cancer to be looking at this week. We've got some cards flipping over here. All right, Cancer, it looks like you are tackling some issues around, or not issues necessarily, but some themes around how you feel instinctively about things. So your instincts are coming through here as being a major theme for you this week. In addition to maybe you've been keeping to yourself, some isolation, maybe not communicating as much with people, keeping to yourself, really trying to understand your instincts. And it feels like what's at the heart of the matter here is self-worth when we see this card come up. So this is a sacral chakra card coming up. So you're really tapping into emotions, which isn't a surprise for Cancer. And you're trying to understand your self-worth as an emotional process right now. And you might sort of be keeping to yourself as you do that. You might be spending some time not really talking to people about this. It feels like you're keeping it to yourself and you're trying to understand things it's in sort of an introspective way that's withdrawn from others. And it's interesting. I feel like you're really following your instincts and you're paying attention to your instincts, which is really stepping into sort of a mindful place when it comes to what do your instincts tell you? Where are you coming from with respect to how you feel about yourself, as opposed to looking externally for validation. So that's a step that feels like it's moving you in a direction of seeking validation on your own, from yourself, not relying on the external world to validate your self-worth, but rather sort of finding that through yourself, offering it to yourself, as opposed to looking for it in the external world. And on the bottom of the deck, we're seeing enlightenment. So I feel like you're at a place right now where you're really going within to understand your own personal power, your self-worth, trusting your instincts. And I feel like you're doing this process in isolation. You're doing this process withdrawn from others. So you're not seeking validation from others. You're not looking for your self-worth in those external validations. You're finding it for yourself within, which is a very powerful way to do it, because that's really the source of truth, isn't it? Excellent start to your reading here, Cancer. Let's see what the tarot cards will add to this. What messages will they reveal for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Yep, there's that Page of Cups coming out for you, showing up in the reverse. So there may be some further work to do in terms of renewing your energy, in terms of noticing things, signs, synchronicities, symbolisms, and metaphors that are showing up in your external reality that give you an idea of the internal shifts that you've been making. Because anything we shift on the inner level, our inner changes create changes in our external world. So I feel like you're working on things, you're shifting your energy within, and now it's like you're about to understand things on a greater level with this enlightenment card. And seeing the Page of Cups with the Seven of Cups, both in reverse, tells me that there may be some fear when it comes to looking at your options. You may be blocked by fear when it comes to exploring options moving forward towards new goals. So as you're learning to trust your instincts, you're releasing that fear that could block you from pursuing things moving forward. And I feel like you are on a journey of trying to sort of understand yourself as you are in a state of renewal and transformation. And it's almost like one is feeding the other here. As you continue to make inner changes, you're going to continue to notice that your reality is shifting in the external world, bringing you closer to things that you desire, bringing you closer to things that give you that feeling of self-worth. But I do feel like fear is the obstacle for you when I see the Seven of Cups in reverse, that when you think about or fantasize about or daydream about options moving forward that give you sort of this excited feeling, there's this immediate sort of fearful reaction that says, but what if? What if it doesn't work out? Or what if I'm not good enough? Or what if, like there's some buts that need to get kicked out here. But you're working on it. You're working on it. There's the King of Cups. Very emotional time. No surprise looking at that for you, Cancer. You carry a deep, deep emotional capacity as a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So seeing the King of Cups in reverse tells me that as you're doing this, as you're starting to trust your instincts, you're starting to see that perhaps the line between you and your emotions and the external world and other people's emotions, maybe that line is still a little bit blurry. And so you're still sort of trying to tease out, is this mine or is this theirs? Am I picking up on energy from someone else and internalizing it, or is this mine? Is this something that is coming through my instincts, or is this coming through because someone else's energy is strong and around me and it's influencing me? Sun. Yeah, interesting. Gosh, all your cards coming through in reverse tells me that you're at that place of the tipping point. You're about to sort of shift into something here that will be a marker for you of distinction. And seeing the Sun in reverse tells me that, again, we've got fear sort of creating an obstacle for you. We have sort of this intuitive need to understand whose energy you're picking up on. Is it yours? Is it not yours? Am I reacting to this? Am I triggered by something? You could have someone in your life in particular that causes those moments where you're not sure if you're reacting to their stuff or if this is truly from you. Seeing the Sun in reverse makes me feel like there is sort of this doubt that you cast on things. And I feel like it's lifting, because seeing the Sun even in reverse still feels very positive for you, Cancer. But I do feel like seeing it in reverse is a signal that there might still be sort of a little bit of pessimism here. But the fact that you're working on your self-worth tells me that that's why the Sun is showing up, that you're working on being really optimistic about your abilities, and you're working on your self-worth, and the pathway is being illuminated for you. There's the Page of Cups guiding you here with signs and synchronicities. You're imagining these options, even though fear might be blocking some of them, you're still visualizing them. And you're still working on sort of untangling yourself from other people's drama as you sort of sort out your own path. And I feel like it's being illuminated for you. There's enlightenment here. There's self-worth developing. You're trusting your instincts more. You're holding more to yourself than you used to. It feels like you're not seeking validation from others as much. You're trusting your instincts when it comes to self-worth, and that's sort of illuminating a new pathway for you. And I feel like you're going to reach a state of enlightenment when it comes to understanding yourself on a deeper level. Bottom of the deck, we're seeing the Queen of Pentacles. So that tells me that as you're doing this, you're grounding. You're grounding into the present moment. You're seeing that you have the capacity to do whatever it is that you desire to do. And you have the skills, the capacity, the capability, the self-worth, the instincts, imagination and the possibilities are open. And I think you see that, and you're grounding into that energy. So there could be someone in your life that you're looking at as sort of a guide or a teacher, a role model, someone who may be an expert in something that you're doing, and you're sort of following their example, not necessarily following them, but looking at their example and saying, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. If it's possible for one person, it's possible for me too. And I feel like that is giving you the confidence, the grounding, and the sense of security that yes, I am, and I can, and I belong, and I'm going to trust myself. That seems to be the overall energy in your reading here, but there is some fear that needs to sort of, you almost have to just be conscious of it when it comes up and not let it block you, not let it derail your plans and your choices. Yeah, seeing the Four of Wands and the Empress tells me that, if the fear does come up, if you start to doubt yourself, start to ground yourself in gratitude. Go back and ground yourself in the idea that you are a creator, and that when you shift within, you create shifts in your external world, and that sort of bringing yourself into this space where you trust the transformative energy that surrounds you, instead of fearing it or not trusting it or doubting it or not surrendering to it, maybe resisting things that feel like they're shifting, and sort of needing to express gratitude for those shifts because they're bringing you into this transformation. They're bringing you closer to this enlightenment. And I really feel like the worst is over for you, Cancer. Seeing that Ten of Swords in reverse says to me that you've hit that point where now there's nowhere to go but up. You know what I mean? Like, I think you've been looking at the shadows. You've been looking at fear. You've been looking at self-worth and trusting instincts and trying to sort of imagine new possibilities. Even if fear is coming up, it's almost like you're finding a way, or you're working on finding a way to trust your instincts more than you trust the fear. You know what I mean? And I think that that's making a difference. We see the Knight of Wands on the bottom of the deck. So I feel like you're following your passions. You're following where you feel that the energy is taking you and pulling you, where things are vibing high. You're headed that way. And I think you're making some significant changes when I see the rest of these cards too. It makes me feel like you've hit a place where you thought to yourself, I'm done doing things in a certain way. I'm going to change the way I see myself, and the way I trust myself, and the way I communicate with others and myself. And it's interesting. It feels like you're sort of bringing in some balance for body, mind, and spirit. And you're sort of seeing things from a different perspective. But it's interesting. There is a message here of saying, trust your instincts. Believe in yourself. Allow transformation and change to occur without resistance. Trust these changes. Trust that you'll know what you're doing and how to do it when the time is right. Take it one day at a time and be grateful for everything that's unfolding around you right now. Yeah, this is wonderful. Okay, let's have a look and see, what does Cancer need to surrender or surrender to? Let's have a look. Okay, Cancer. Let's have a look here. Surrender your desire to control. So this could be controlling other people, or just surrendering the desire to control. This card is speaking mostly in terms of relationships, but based on your reading here, I'm feeling like the surrender your desire to control situations might be more apt for this reading. This idea of not feeling like you have to be in control of everything in every moment, because I think that's what brings up this fear and resistance. And it's almost like you're putting too much too much on your shoulders without surrendering to the divine, and knowing that your higher self is always working to guide you towards your highest good. And so it's interesting. The card says being overly controlling can sabotage relationships. But I think the idea here for you, Cancer, especially, is this idea of just being overly controlling of outcomes or being attached to outcomes. It says here that to more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing room, and trust your instincts. I'll add that as a message. The bottom of the deck here says surrender comparisons to others, which is, I think, sort of in alignment with your reading, in the sense of not being overly concerned with external feedback or comparisons, because your self-worth is the seat of your power. And that is the enlightenment here, trusting your instincts and trusting your ability without needing comparisons. The card says, keep your eyes trained on yourself, focus on your own strengths, your own attractiveness, and your own power. And I feel like those messages are going to guide you through this transformative process that you're moving on right now. You're making some great internal changes that are going to reveal changes for you in your external reality. It's going to be reflected back at you. And it feels like you don't have to control this. You can trust yourself. You don't have to feel like you have to manage the outcomes, and certainly comparisons with other people are not going to serve you at this time. I feel like that could block you and bring up fear rather than freedom. Very interesting reading for you this week, Cancer. I hope it's been helpful. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm sending you so much love and light. Looking forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care.